All right, hello everyone. This is War and Peace. Still trying to figure out how to edit and do all of that shit. So um, I'm not going to be able to give you anything spectacular other than a life experience and a story from my past. So this is story time. I don't know, like episode 4 or something like that. Anyway, this one is going to be on the birth of my son. Now this one is pretty cool and pretty dear to my heart because it was witnessing a life come into this world firsthand. And it was crazy. So, my son was born in 2013, and I was 27 years old, which, because of the lifestyle that I was living, that is actually pretty old considering, I went to school with, in high school, in middle school, there were girls that were pregnant in my school. So imagine being a 13, 14-year-old kid with the girl behind you, 5 months pregnant. Anyway, I was 27. So in my era and in, the community that I grew up in, that was kind of old. But we found out that uh, my child's mother was pregnant, and I was shocked, but trying to keep my composure because she was freaking out. Um, she was excited, very excited. She always wanted to be a mother, and I always wanted to be a father. But there was still some trepidation. It's one of my favorite words, but there was still some trepidation. Anyway, um, going through the pregnancy was insane because you get to see every day because we live together. So uh, every day I got to see the subtle changes and then very obvious changes in her mood, her appetite, the way she walked, just her body in general was just, everything was changing. It was insane. And she worked all the way up into maybe 2 weeks into her pregnancy, into, the actual labor. So one of the things that anyone who's expecting a child that you have to be ready for is one around I say around the 5th month. My son was so long and so elongated, and he had turned, which means like when a baby's first starting to be, you know, in the process of being made in the stomach, their head is upright, so um, towards the heart, right, and then slowly they start to turn around to where their head is going to be the first thing that comes out. There's a lot of complications if this doesn't go well, like the umbilical cord being wrapped around the throat of a child, or um, just having to give birth to a child feet first if they don't make the turn. Tons of things can go wrong here, but none of that went wrong with our son. But what I'm trying to get to, which I think is funny, and I still make fun of her now for, is when my son had turned around, and his head was facing, her vagina. Um, his feet would rest on her lungs, and the mother of my child, she's not a big woman. I mean, she's taller than me. She's maybe 5'10", um, which I'm not a tall guy. I'm about 5'8", and uh, very slender woman. So she doesn't snore. But when my son's feet was sitting on her lungs, when I tell you it sounded like she was cutting wood, oh my God, it sounded like she was cutting wood. I mean, to the point where I could not sleep in the room with her. I had to sleep downstairs on the couch every night. It was, and I'm a big guy, so the couch is not for me, man. And this shit sucked. But I knew she was making a baby, and I mean, what am I gonna say? Tell her to sleep on the couch, you know what I mean? Whatever. But so but it was funny because something like that, you didn't realize that, like, you know, making a baby could affect something like that. Or like she hated ranch dressing. And I love ranch dressing. And this is weird too, but during the pregnancy, about halfway through, she started to crave ranch dressing for some reason. And to this day, she loves it. She puts it on everything when she absolutely hated ranch dressing before the pregnancy. Things like that are crazy. But let's get back to the birth of the child. So when she gave birth, we didn't know that she was going to go into labor. It was like a couple days. We know that we were getting close. And I guess she started to, the anxiety starts to kick in, the nervousness, all of that starts to kick in. So we're having sex 2 days before she actually goes into labor. And this is something that you might have to deal with if you're actually still having, sex with, the mother of your child while you're pregnant. So we're having sex and she's on top because, her belly's big and, she's a little scared of me being on top while her belly's so big. And so she's on top and and we're having sex and I just feel this super warmness. I feel this super warm liquid just like running down the sides of my legs, right? And I'm like, what is that? Did she squirt or something? But she couldn't have squirted because it didn't come out like, you know what I mean? And she goes, I think my water broke. We're freaking out now because it's like, okay, your water broke, it's go time, okay? It's go time. It's time to go to the hospital and get this show on the road. So we go to the hospital, we rush to the hospital, and we're thinking, okay, we're about to have the child. And the doctor does the little checkup and checks everything out. And it turns out that she peed on me. I don't know. I think the shit's funny. She was embarrassed as fuck though, and I still give her shit about it today too. So she peed on me, and I mean, not a little, like a lot, right? That's why she thought of water. She thought of water broke. Oh shit, that's funny. So anyway, the doctor sends us back home, and we're just hanging out, and the anxiety is just mounting up at this point. And a day goes by, and then the morning of maybe it was maybe 2:00 in the morning, and she's sitting in the bathtub because the labor pain is starting to kick in. It's starting to become time. And she goes, Robert, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. We got to go to the hospital, man. Now look, this is how much of a G the mother of my child is. She goes, we got to go to the hospital. I'm in so much pain. We got to go. At this point, I don't have a license, okay? So I can't drive. But I'm like, yo, let me drive. It's not that I couldn't get a license, but my license was suspended just because I was a dumb motherfucker. Anyway, so I'm like, yo, just let me drive. Even if the police pull us over, I can explain to them that you're in labor, right? So she's like, no, I don't want you to get pulled over and get a ticket or anything like that. She's so much of a G. She said, I don't want you to get pulled over. Let me drive. And while she's in labor, right, she's driving me and her to the hospital. Fucking gangster, bro. A fucking gangster. So we get to the hospital and they're doing all the regular checkups, and she's having contractions every 10 seconds or some shit like that, or I can't remember, right? Like every minute or something like that. So we get into the labor and they give her an epidural, which is this long ass fucking needle. I mean, this fucking thing looks like something that should go into a cow or something, right? They stick it in her fucking spine, and what it does is it numbs the pain of giving birth. It numbs you from the waist down because this shit is finna get real. Now, my son is about to come in about a few more hours. Now, there's hours and hours of just pushing And the mother of my child, she's very like, she doesn't like cussing, she doesn't like littering. She's a square to the fucking umpteenth power, which, I picked her. I picked a woman like that on purpose, just because, I wanted a mother. I wanted his mother to kind of be a very deep contrast to me. So, I'm almost lost my footing. So, she's giving birth, and they're doing this thing where we do this towel exchange. You put your towel, a part of the towel in her hand and another part in mine, and she pulls and I pull, and we kind of do a tug of war. And while we're doing that, she's pushing, and this is the first time, probably the first time, and we had been together, but by the time my son was born, we had been together for quite some time. So she's doing the pushing, the push-pull thing, and I go, don't run from the pain, because at this point, we're so deep into the labor that the doctor is like, hey, if you don't start pushing, we're going to have to use the suction cup to pull him out. And, that can come with another list of complications, but we're going to have to do that because we can't leave him inside you for too much longer, right? Because he's starting to breathe on his own and things like that. So, I go, babe, don't run from the pain, go towards it. And I swear she goes, I know, you fucking asshole! Shut the fuck up! Look, church girl does not like cursing, doesn't even like littering, but she cussed me the fuck out. Okay? Pregnancy will bring a girl out of her character, bro. Look, I haven't even got to the graphic stuff yet. I'm going to fast forward ahead because there's not much to see. It was a lot of pushing, a lot of, panicking, a lot of sweating, right? Let's get to the good stuff. My son's head comes out, okay, with a little help from the doctor. They're pulling him out, right? And look, when I tell you that her labia, which are her lips on her fucking vagina, they ripped like tissue paper. I mean, him coming through was, and it's like, look, it was like, you didn't feel that? You didn't feel that your pussy lips just ripped like tissue paper? Bro, if you think getting hit in the nuts is something, bro, oh my God, when I tell you that shit, it ripped. Think about taking a piece of paper, putting it in your hand, and then just going, when his head came out, it just ripped everything. And you know what the doctor did after this shit was done? They got the boy out, was cleaning him up, and then they had to get, what the fuck is that thing called? Starts with an M. Basically the sack that he was in. Fuck, what is it called? Whatever. Fuck. The sack that he was in. They had to get that out, okay? So they got pieces of that out and the big sack out. And then they just casually sewed that up like this is normal. The fucking lips of the vagina rip all the time. Let's just sew it up and make it look neat. And they did a fucking on the fly, like, cosmetic surgery of her vagina right there. Like it was nothing, bro. This shit was wild, hundreds. So we stay in the hospital for maybe 3 or 4 more days. And I'm just in awe of my son. I would show you guys pictures of him, but nah, we're not doing that. But he looked Asian when he first was born. He was so pale, because the mother of my child is white. So my son's a fucking Adonis. He's beautiful. He looks a lot like me in the face, but he doesn't have any of my structure because she comes from a genetic pool where the people are very slender. But beautiful kid, man, and it was one of the most honoring and humbling experiences that I've ever been a part of, man. I was just honored to be there as his father, because my father wasn't in the room when I was born. Shit, my mother wasn't probably even present. That's a joke, but still. Anyway, if you've made it to the end, I would just like for you to like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff to my channel. I'm really trying to build it up, and if it doesn't, I'm not worried about that. But I would like to, let's just keep having these conversations, man. And if you like any of the content I'm putting out, and you look at any of this, like, share, and subscribe. Anyway, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'll be putting up videos. You guys have a good night, all right? Boop, boop.